Last week we addressed the question whether the transmission of the New Testament texts was like the telephone game. You know, the child's game where you whisper a message into the child's ear and then they whisper it to their neighbor and then to the next neighbor and so on till you get to the end of a line and the message has been completely distorted. We saw that the early documents that formed the New Testament were not like the telephone game. Not in the slightest. The telephone game is designed, it has rules designed to corrupt the message, whereas the New Testament documents were designed to be publicly propagated far and wide throughout the Mediterranean world. So that's not a good analogy. But there's another objection that seems very strong that we must consider. And it relates to the fact that we don't have the original documents of the New Testament texts. We don't have the physical animal skins that Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Paul, James, Peter, Jude, the author to the Hebrews. We don't have the actual physical artifacts that they wrote on. And so very often people will object to the reliability of the New Testament, saying things like, well, we don't have the original texts. And if we don't have them, we can't be certain about the text. It's not reliable. Something may have been fouled up. It might be corrupted. It seems like a very strong objection, which we can answer in a couple of different ways. The first is to realize that this objection is true of all ancient literature. We do not have the original documents that Plato wrote. We don't have the Socratic dialogues that are written out on animal skins. It's true of any ancient literature. So if you're going to object that, well, we don't have the original manuscript, then you're actually objecting to all ancient literature because we simply don't have original manuscripts. But there's another confusion. This is a very, very crucial point that many people don't get. And that is there's a difference between a text and a manuscript. Now, this may seem very subtle, but it is an incredibly crucial distinction. A text is a given arrangement of words. It's a given arrangement of words. The cat sat is a text. A manuscript is a physical thing that text gets written or inscribed on. So a text can be Paul's letter to the Ephesians. A manuscript would be the physical pieces of paper that this is printed on. Lots of things can be manuscripts. It can be early papyrus, a form of paper. It can be, as I said, animal skins. Technically in scholarship they call it vellum. It can be human skin. People use their bodies as manuscripts all the time. They tattoo Bible verses to them. That is a manuscript. But a manuscript is not the same thing as a text. You see, let's just say, for example, my wife writes me a shopping list and she sends me to the store. Let's say she wrote it on a big piece of paper and I didn't want to take a big piece of paper with me to the store. So I took out my iPhone and I take a picture of that piece of paper and then I go to the store. Well, when I come back, I discover that she's cleaned up the house and she has destroyed that piece of paper. She got mad at the piece of paper, let's say, and she burned it. It's gone. You could say, we don't have the original text of the shopping list. Well, that isn't true at all. We don't have the original manuscript of the shopping list, but we certainly do have the text. I have it right here on my iPhone, digitally recorded as a new manuscript. So you see, if there's a copy of a text, the physical piece of paper that the text is on is irrelevant because we have a copy. So it seems like such a strong objection. We don't have the original manuscript. Who cares? Who cares if we don't have the original manuscript? This is incontestable. We have the original text because it's been preserved for us among those 5,700 copies of the New Testament documents. So, no original manuscript?